I mean, oh my goodness, $250 for that? About 7 months ago, I created a video on this channel titled, I paid 5 developers to create an entire app for me. The video was in partnership with the good folks over at Fiverr, and the goal was to essentially hire a bunch of developers to create an app I've always wanted to make, but have never had the skills to do so. And the results were really impressive. Now, at the end of the video, I mentioned that I was hoping to have the completed app live and on the Google Play Store within the next few months, but suffice it to say, that never ended up happening. See, after that video went live, I had a bunch of people commenting saying I had taken the wrong approach to ask the app developers themselves to also come up with the app's design and UI, and that in the real world, you would normally have a separate team whose sole purpose is to create the design of the app, and then another development team who will turn that design into a functioning application. And so I decided to go back to the drawing board and redesign the entire app UI myself. And to cut a long story short, I may have gotten a little excited, adding in tons of new features and UI changes, which is why we're still working on the app. And actually, while we're talking about the app, let's take a really quick look at where it's currently up to. So if you watched that original Fiverr video, you can see how things have been redesigned. We now have a carousel interface for swiping through all of the submitted setups. We have various categories that we can switch between. Our setup details page has a fresh design, and we also have a redesigned menu and setup submission page. Now, for reference, everything within this app is currently working as expected. Users can submit setups that can be approved within an admin version of the app. We can log in with Google, and when we do, the favoriting feature works as expected. We also have search functionality working pretty well, and there's also this new featured section which showcases setups from my best Nova Launcher setup series here on YouTube. And so the core app is complete. And in fact, it actually entered into alpha testing a few weeks ago with a public release on the Play Store fairly imminent. But then about a week ago, Fiverr reached out again and asked if I'd be open to creating a new video for them. And the wheels in my head started turning, and I thought this could be a really cool opportunity to not only address any current issues with the app, but to also add in a stack of additional features we haven't yet had the time to implement. And so the plan is pretty simple. I'm gonna create a generic message for our potential developers, showing them the app in its current state and asking them to make as many improvements as possible. I let them know I was giving them full creative control, but I did also create a list of my own suggestions, along with supporting mockups to help guide them if need be. But then I told each of them I'd need the finished product within 21 days. And then I sent that off to a bunch of developers. And then after a bunch of going back and forth, here are the 5 developers I've decided to go with. All right, starting things off, we have Sandip2611. His page says he will develop Android apps and fix bugs, and he's a level 2 seller with over 50 ratings and a 4.8 star average, which is really impressive. And he agreed to work on my application for $157. Sold. Next up, we have Junaid _51. His page says that he will develop premium Android apps. He's got 12 ratings and a 4.9 star average, which is still pretty great going. And he agreed to complete the changes for a grand total of $250. From there, we have A_A developers. And this dude has a whopping total of 308 ratings with a 4.9 star average. Absolutely bonkers. And so I was super happy he agreed to work on the project. Boom, $280. Second to last is SalesPark. He has 38 reviews and a 4.9 star average, which is nothing to sneeze at, and he got the gig for $400. And the last but not least, I wanted to give Fiverr's custom request feature a go, which is basically where your request gets posted to any eligible sellers who then essentially apply to take the job. And after a stack of developers submitted their applications, I ended up deciding to work with a developer named Mike George. This guy has 18 5-star reviews, although some of them are as a buyer, but he does have 10 ratings as a seller. But either way, he seemed really keen on the job, so he was locked in for $400. So those are the 5 developers I've decided to go with. And for anyone wondering, I've obviously sent each of them all of the necessary coding files and any other assets they might need, but they're all now busy working away on making improvements to the app, and I'm absolutely chomping at the bit to see what they all come up with. Alrighty folks, it's Judgment Day. Through the magic of editing, it is now 3 weeks after I first got in touch with the developers on Fiverr, and that means we finally get to review the finished products. As with the last video, I'm gonna be ranking each version of the app to try and assess which one I'm most impressed with. And what makes this comparison interesting is that, unlike the previous video, all of these developers had the same UI and mockups provided to them, which should hopefully make picking a winner even easier. That could come back to bite me though. With that said, to help simplify things just a bit, I will split the ranking into two different categories. Firstly, the amount of features added / changes made. And secondly, how effective each of the implementations actually are. That is, have the changes actually improved the app or have they made it feel less polished? Let's begin. Right, first up is Sandip. Just a reminder, he cost $157, which is the cheapest of the lot. So it'll be interesting to compare his work with the more expensive developers on this list. All right, so opening it up. So the first thing that I notice is the category slider down the bottom. Again, each developer got a mock-up with this category slider, and it did look fairly similar to this. So if we tap on one of those, it goes yellow, and we get the category coming up there. We'll head back to our home screen. Animations so far are fairly similar to the one that I sent in, but let's tap on one of these setups here. Okay, so he's got, okay, so he's got this sort of scaled up animation here, which I quite like the concept, although the execution is still a little bit buggy. As we tap on that, you can see the screenshot sort of jumps around, and then as we go back, the outline of the phone also is a bit inconsistent as well, but I like the idea. So if we tap on the menu icon here, oh cool, he's implemented the pop-up interface rather than the full screen menu, which I quite like. He's also implemented that submission screen as a pop-up interface as well, although there's a white bar at the top, not too sure why that is the case, but that works pretty well. If we go to search, we'll just type in Nova. This interface has changed slightly. You can see we've got two columns there, which I don't mind, but the animations haven't really changed there. But in reality, that's all there is to it. A few changes implemented. I'm pretty impressed for $157, not too bad. Would I be able to publish this version to the Play Store? No, it still needs a bit of refining. But again, $157, hard to complain. From there, we jump up a bit in terms of price with Junaid. He was booked for $250, so let's see how he did. All right, so we'll open that up. And oh yeah, that's right. I actually helped mock up these onboarding pages, which this developer did implement. So let's navigate through. Ooh, see that little bounce that happens? I just love that. It makes an app feel so fluid. Tap on Get Started. Beautiful, we're logged in, and then we get to the main interface of the app. You can see, of course, we still have that category slider down the bottom, although it looks slightly more refined to my eyes at least. Let's tap on one of the setups. Really nice. So you can see what he's done at the top there is that he's made it look like a bit more of a card interface. And if we head back, that sort of slides in and out as though it's coming on top of whatever the previous page was. That looks really nice. We've got a new icon up the top here to sort our setups into, the oldest ones, or we can go to the most viewed. Now, if we tap on the menu here, excellent. He's put that into the pop-up interface as well. So if I tap on that, you can see we get the submit home screen. Not a pop-up interface, but still he's got that card look to it, which I quite like. And if we scroll down here, you can see we've got additional details and a place to insert a backup file from our local storage, which is fantastic. So we'll get out of that. Ooh, really nice updated interface there for canceling out of that process. Now, if we go over to search, you can see we also get options to sort the search here as well, which is really cool. Let's type in blue. And he's got search suggestions as well, which is fantastic. And if we tap the user icon down here, he's added in a couple of key features that I was hoping to have in the previous version, but that were just a little bit too tricky to pull off, which are, being able to see which setups have been approved and are live within the app, and then also being able to see any setups that are pending. One other feature that I know this guy was working on, so I'm really keen to see how it turned out, was updating this featured page. So if I tap on that, you can see instead of just having the different episodes from my Best Nova Launcher setup series, you can see we've now got my other series as well. So the best home screen setups, redesigning your setups, and what's on my phone. So if I tap on that, that loads in the various episodes from my Best Home Screen Setup series, which is different to the Best Nova Launcher setup series. Tap on that. watch this episode on YouTube. And I can see that he's also fixed the carousel here when we've only got 3 setups. Now it's actually showing the main setup in the middle, and yes, that is fantastic that he's managed to fix that, because I think that was really hard to do. I mean, oh my goodness, 250 bucks for that? This is top shelf stuff from Junaid. I'm really impressed. I don't know how the other developers are going to be able to top him. Excellent work, Junaid. So this next one is from A_A developers. 280 bucks they cost. So let's see how it stacks up. I'll tap on the icon. Okay, cool. So he's also implemented the splash screen animation. Boom, successfully logged in. Okay, so again, we can see that category slider down the bottom. Things do look a little bit different though, but they're all there, seem to be working. Let's tap on one. No little yellow icon there, but that's okay. Nice little bouncy animation though. We'll go back, tap on a setup here. Not much to the animation there. It sort of just fades in, doesn't it? We'll tap on that. Excellent. He's also implemented the card style interface here for the main menu. We'll tap on the submit home screen menu. And yes, he's also implemented this in a sort of pop-up interface, which is great. We'll go to our user menu here. No changes here. You can see we've got the sort option up here. Although I think he told me that it's not actually working. No search suggestions, favorites. That looks the same. And so that's just about it in terms of the changes from A_A developers. All right, second to last, we have the SalesPark team for $400, which is a fairly decent price jump over the previous 3. So this will be super interesting to see how they've done. All right, let's open up the app. Okay, so we've got a splash screen, but no animation, no login UI. Again, similar story, we've got the category slider down the bottom. So my guess is that this is one of the easiest features to implement. If we tap on one of these categories, that animation is pretty much what we had in the original version. So nothing too improved there. Tap on a setup. Okay, he's kind of got the slide up, but so far I'm a little bit nervous, particularly when you compare this to Junaid's version for 250 bucks. Nothing's changed here. It's still the full screen menu that we had in the original version. Same thing here. We do have a spot to add additional info, which is good. Let's tap on the user icon here. We can go log in. And this is actually quite new. We have login with Facebook, login with Google, and the option to log in with an email. So let me just register here. And there we go. Okay, so we've got a few other login options, which is actually kind of cool. And now when we tap on the user menu there, we get public profile. Tap on that. You don't have any approved setups, which is not true. I do actually have some. Pending setups, nothing. And we've got the additional information icon down here. So that's been implemented. Nice. No search suggestions. He does have a latest and oldest button here, which looks to be working. We'll go over to favorites. Yeah, nothing's changed there. And I think that's really all there is to it. Okay, so finally we have Mike. This is also a team of developers, and just a reminder, this is the only developer of the lot that I worked with who was actually booked through the request feature on Fiverr. But right up front, I do want to disclose that this developer actually came to me towards the end of the project and realized he couldn't achieve most of the improvements we'd initially discussed. And so instead of retaining that initial $400 price tag, he was kind enough to cancel that order and put forward a new one for $150, which actually makes him the cheapest of the lot. But it also makes me very interested to see what improvements he was able to make. All right, so let's open it up. And okay, so we've got the login page, that's good. He's added powered by iMake under my icon there, which is a bit of self-promotion. Not sure how I feel about that. Let's tap on sign in. Signed in successfully, excellent. So we're in, and okay, not too bad. So we've got the category slider down the bottom. Looks all right. We'll tap on a setup here. Nothing different about this. I'll tap on the menu icon here. Okay, so he has put it into a pop-up interface, but it's just sort of like a flat background with straight edges, and there's this funny line down the bottom. Submit home screen. Okay, no, that doesn't really work because he's got the menu bar staying on screen with that open, which isn't really what's meant to happen. And he's also just moved to the full screen interface as well. So he hasn't been able to implement that pop-up interface. Interesting, okay, and the category slider has now disappeared, which I guess is a bug. Is there any way to bring that back? Let's tap on the user profile here. Again, just the same version that was sent through in the original version. So is there any other changes? Hang on a sec, that's kind of broken. I'm tapping on all these different categories and nothing's changing. Okay, so the category slider only works from the home screen. So broken functionality, limited amount of changes. Animations are all exactly the same as the version that I sent through. Yeah, so when you compare it to the other versions, I think the developer did the right thing by lowering his price to $150 because essentially he's added the category slider, but it's half baked. He's added a really simple splash screen with some self-promotion, but aside from that, that's about it. Okay, so after taking a look at each version of the application and as we assess all of the final rankings, no surprises here, the clear winner is Junaid, who not only implemented by far the most amount of changes overall, but he also did it in a way that I think really leveled up the look and feel of the app, which can't be said for some of the other versions that were sent. And so without question, this is the new version of the app I'm gonna be moving forward with. I've actually already sent it over to my team of internal testers, and there's still 1 or 2 minor issues we need to iron out, but I'm hoping, with all of my fingers crossed, to have the app live and on the Play Store before the end of 2021. And so I'll of course pin a comment down below letting you know once it's up and live. A big thank you to Fiverr for sponsoring this video and for supporting the channel. Make sure you check out the first link down in the description to start getting your jobs completed, or perhaps you might be someone who wants to instead sign up to Fiverr as a freelancer and start selling your own services. But that's it. If you enjoyed the video, then a sub to the channel would be fantastic. But aside from that, thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you later.